martial arts students. This is the capital of Kung Fu. We're here to train with Master Ma Feng. A former all-China Kung Fu champion, 20 of Master Feng's students have gone on to become national Kung Fu champs themselves. Today, Master Feng is going to teach us the most modern and the most brutal style in all of Kung Fu, Sanda. A style that incorporates kicks, strikes, chokes, and takedowns. Sanda is the ultimate evolution of Kung Fu. It's an evolution rooted in the bloody history of modern China.
At the dawn of the 20th century, peasant rebels engaged in a series of conflicts designed to drive out foreign colonialists and unseat the reigning Qing dynasty. To fight their better armed opponents, the rebels added violent strangleholds, kicks to the face, and throat punches to their traditional Kung Fu. With the help of these new techniques, the rebels eventually toppled the Qing dynasty, and the art of Sanda was born. A quarter century later, the Chinese Nationalist Army used these same skills to ward off the Japanese in the Second Sino-Japanese War. Today, Sanda is China's #1 combat sport. And it's the style we'll be using in our final bout with Xanda.
Wow, that was really intense training. Why do they scream like that?
They can make the movements very strong, very powerful.
The screaming is actually a method of managing your air intake. It's similar to the focused, often audible breathing you hear out of Olympic sprinters or weightlifters when they need that extra power boost. And to get a feel for that power, Master Feng showed us a powerful Sanda kick strike, the high roundhouse.
Has he ever knocked anybody out?
Yes, many times.
Many times?
Many times.
Wow.
The knee should be up, kick. The toe should be straight.
Having worked on kicks with the PAP, we thought this high roundhouse would be easy. But our kicks were too low and too slow for a Sanda fight. So instead, Master Feng showed us a move essential to winning any Sanda fight, the takedown.
Nice.
You're getting the bad end of this deal, buddy.
If we didn't use this move on Yan, he was going to use it on us. And something told me we wouldn't be springing back up like these guys.
Oh, he's right up.
Who are these people?
Like the sweep we learned with the Marines, the Sanda takedown begins as a defense against a roundhouse.
So the move itself is pretty basic, Jason. It's just the kick coming in, and he's catching it because you've got a glove on. You can't grab, so you got to catch here.
As your opponent launches the kick, you step in and grab the leg, trapping it between your forearm and torso. With your opponent's entire body weight now supported by his back leg, you step forward, forcing him slightly off balance. From that point, a simple sweep above his heel can break your opponent's center of balance entirely and bring him to the ground.
The power of the takedown is derived from the simple mechanical advantage you hold over your opponent. By wrapping up his striking leg at the upper thigh, you've placed your opponent in what's called conditional stability. If he remains stationary, he could technically maintain his balance indefinitely. But by driving him backward and initiating a sweep of his other leg, you've added two destabilizing factors, and the loose center of gravity simply cannot hold.
Sanda fighters are unbelievably fast. And for this technique, the greater the speed, the greater the power. And the pain.
This is a lot different compared to your actual kickboxing match or boxing match. Sanda is really violent. A lot of the Kung Fu elements we've learned really play into this.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know what? No matter how you take your opponent down, I'm learning they all hurt.
We were beginning to see just how hardcore Sanda is, and why the Chinese Red Army had chosen it as the Kung Fu style to protect a billion people.
You got boxing, you got Muay Thai kicks, you got wrestling. You score points on all of it, and there's a lot of knockouts. This is hardcore, this is full contact. This is tough.
As we trained under Master Feng, we definitely sensed our skills improving. But time was running out.
Before our ultimate challenge, we would journey to the birthplace of Kung Fu to meet the men of peace, who are also some of the world's most awesome warriors. Fighting monks who had achieved every fighter's dream. Total resistance to pain.
We've trained with some of Kung Fu's greatest masters. But now we've come to the most famous site in martial arts history to fuse our physical training with some hardcore mental workouts. This is the Shaolin Temple. Located in the Hunan province in eastern China, the Shaolin Temple was founded in the 5th century AD by the Buddhist monk Bao Tuo.
Home to more than 70 monks, aspiring holy men begin their training at the temple as young as the age of 5. The temple is presided over by Shi Yong-sin. He's one of the most respected Buddhist leaders in the world, and he runs one of the most important martial arts schools in history. One that emphasizes the inner spiritual forms of Kung Fu as much as the outer fighting forms. Shi Yong-sin tells us that the original Shaolin monks were strictly thinkers, not fighters. And they often found themselves at the mercy of local bandits, who were after the temple's treasures.
That all changed in the 6th century with the arrival of an Indian monk named Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma taught the Shaolin monks how to balance their inner spiritual life with some good old-fashioned martial arts training. And he taught them how to use martial arts to ward off the bandits. But that was just the beginning of the temple's ancient fighting lineage. In the centuries that followed, 5 different dynasties fought for dominance of this vast country.
As empires fell and allegiances changed, the Shaolin Temple served as a sanctuary to fighters on all sides. The diversity of styles that were represented by these fugitives made the temple the most important site in China for the development of new mental and physical Kung Fu techniques.
I thought my 15 years of martial arts training was impressive, but with 15 centuries of martial arts history everywhere we looked, the Shaolin Temple was awe-inspiring. Just the place to immerse ourselves in Kung Fu before the big fight. But if we wanted to train like monks, we first had to look like monks. These robes symbolize the purity of the monk's dedication to Buddha and to Kung Fu. But we weren't just given the costume. We were also given the weapons.
Thank you.
Weapons training has been an essential part of Kung Fu since Bodhidharma's arrival. The earliest weapons were simple but deadly. And the oldest of them is the Shaolin staff, or gun. We'd worked with sticks before in our eskrima training in the Philippines. But the Shaolin staff is 3 times as long as an eskrima baston, and 3 times as difficult to handle.
What's this?
Groin.
Yeah, you think about a groin someone? Go!
Grabbing it and going down. Swipe. Go. I wonder if any of this translates into empty hand.
I think so. It's visualization, it's technique. You meditate during the fight, and you only think about one thing.
Hitting your opponent in the groin.
That's right.
Other Shaolin training techniques were about getting inside your opponent's head, like working with the 9-ringed saber, or guandao. Monks first used the guandao in the 8th century to cut off the legs of their opponent's horses. The 9 steel rings attached to the blade were designed to produce a rattling, ghost-like sound that was said to have terrified the monks' enemies.
This could slice and dice a whale. So you're using your foot to kick it up? Up it? Kick and then downward cut up. Blade facing up.
Blade facing.
I'm gonna stand away from you, buddy.
1. Okay? Man, that feels good. Feels powerful.
Oh, see, my Kung Fu is strong.
But the heart of the monk's training is the empty hand techniques Bodhidharma brought to